Hello folks and welcome back to the FPL Tips YouTube channel for yet another video. This time it's a special edition video where I will be exclusively discussing about the wildcard strategies going ahead for the next few weeks because there are different possible windows where you could play your second wildcard if you have it in hand, and regarding how many other chips you have. There will be more extensive discussion on each particular chip, which is the triple captain, the bench boost, and the triple captain bench boost and the free hit. But if you still have them, but this video will be particularly only for the wildcard windows because wildcard is a very powerful chip, most important chip, and you'll need to know how to rearrange your team and what is the particular time, because all of us are now currently going crazy planning with all these double game weeks and blank game weeks coming in front of us. And yeah, I think let's just directly dive into it. And as we saw yesterday in the video, I will just also take you through the uh, I'll just take you through the through Ben's sticker over here. Ben Crellin, shout out to him on Twitter. I think he does a great job in making life easy for everyone to understand what are the fixtures and where they fall. And we did go into it in detail in yesterday's video. So now I'm just gonna just shortly quickly summarize what is happening, because there are too many things happening. There's a double game week in 25 where four teams double, which is Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, and Luton. Liverpool, Man City, Luton, and Brentford. And in 26, there's a blank where Luton, Liverpool blank there, along with Chelsea and Tottenham. In game week 28, there's another double game week for Bournemouth, to some Sheffield United at home, Luton at home, and Luton were double there again with Crystal Palace and Bournemouth. And in game week 29 is going to be a blank game week where the FA Cup quarterfinal fixtures will happen. And currently, the teams which will be playing are Brentford, Aston Villa, Burnley, Fulham, West Ham, and Spurs. So that's how what we know now. And then in the future, in the game week 34 and game week 37, there is going to be a further blank and double game weeks. 37 is going to be the largest double game week of the season. 34 is going to be the double game week with a possibility of having blanks as well. But we will come into it deeper at that point of time. But it's just now good enough to keep in mind and plan towards making our teams. And that brings us to an option of wildcarding at different phases of the season, and with a lot of to navigate through all of these double game weeks and blank game weeks and trying to maximize with taking minimal hits. That's, I think, should be the strategy, and that's probably what all of us want to do, and also get the best players. So for that, today we are going to be going through some wildcard strategies and which are the what are the pros and cons of each of them. And that needs to be said before I start the video, start discussing the strategies. One thing that needs to be said is there are going to be plenty of pros and also cons for each of these. There are plenty of trade-offs, a lot of things you'll need to compromise. One week you might think is the upside and maximize on that. That means on another week you might have to compromise. For example, if you think the game week 25 double for Liverpool and the game week 24 fixture for Liverpool is great, and you have a high upside over there, that means if you want to go all in, that means you also have to compromise a little bit by either taking hits or playing a weaker side in game week 26, which is the blank where Liverpool blanks. That's just an example for say. I think there will be multiple occasions where you either need to go for a high upside pick or like sacrifice someone, some player who has been reliant for you, which is this week. I think plenty of people will be looking to either sacrifice Saka or Watkins. And these are things that will keep happening from now till the end of the season. And it's important to know who we are sacrificing, who we are probably benching. And there's going to be a lot of variance. Like, summing it up, there's going to be a lot of variance. And don't worry about it. Back yourself. Take all these small variances on the chin, and believe that what your strategy is going to be, it's going to be an optimal strategy. Because if you are involved, if you are deeply looking at any of these strategies, could pay off very well. So first, let's look at the game week 24 wildcard, which is just about more than 24 hours from now, which is a very important wildcard window as well. I think a lot of people would want to wildcard, especially people who don't have Man City and Liverpool players, who a lot of people would want because of how good their double game week is. I think Man City have two home fixtures where they have overperformed and scored a lot more goals at home. That they are a force at home. while Liverpool have a couple of very good fixtures as well. They play Luton at home and Brentford away, which is great fixtures for the likes of Jota and Nunez, and or even Salah if he's fit. So, what is the pros of doing a wild card in Game Week 24? One is you can attack this double Game Week 25 with as many Man City, Liverpool, Luton, and Brentford fixtures as possible. So you can have three Man City players, three Luton players, three Liverpool players, and maybe a Tony, and also have a Pinnock or someone just to keep it over there, because Brentford also don't blank in 26 and 29. So having a couple of Brentford player also makes, and also attack the double game week of Luton. So if you do triple up of Luton this week, you can bench them in 26, and then you can get them back, keep them until 28, where that double game week is. And then the other thing is to sort out your bench to navigate through blank game week 26 and 29 easily. So what blank game week 26 and 29 poses is, it poses a challenge that you might have a weaker bench to get the likes of Haaland and Salah and Trent throughout the season. And now, when it comes to the blank game week, when your Trent is blanking, when your Salah is blanking, and when your Richarlison and Son, all of them are blanking, in that sense, you will need someone from the bench to come and play for you. And a lot of us might struggle in that sense. Some people might still have Kabore, who was playing regularly for Luton, now is out of favor. And same with also with someone like an Archer who's lost his place and who's still in most of our benches. And also you can say Charlie Taylor, although there is a positive news from company from for him yesterday, and he might be useful in the blank gimmicks. But what is to be said? There is going to be some benching, like some bench fodders who are there just to be there, who might need to be used in blank game 26. And you can sort it out by doing a wild card in 24. You can sort out your bench. You can know exactly who your enablers are, your bench fodders are, who you can call in during 26 and 29, and then just put them back in the bench. But you can, one more thing you can also definitely do is you can also possibly bench boost in 25. So I will for in a bit show you the wildcard draft possible for game week 24. But you will have quite a few fixtures that have upside to have in 25. You'll have 11 players in Man City, Luton, Liverpool, and Brentford itself, and also possibly have a few more players with good fixtures like a Gabriel or a Aston Villa player who play Fulham away in game week 25. So there's a possibility, there's a great appeal for bench boost in 25 also if you wildcard in 24. Now let's look at the cons. I think one major con will be you have to go without Arsenal for an extended period, which is starting from now. I think Saka, people are going to compromise him regardless of whether they play wildcard or not. And if you remove Saka now, it won't make sense to bring him back in 26 when you're removing your Liverpool players for the blank. And then after that, your focus will be towards game week 28. And you won't know whether, until game week 27, you won't know whether Saka will play in 29 or not. It looks likely for Chelsea to beat Leeds and 29 to be a blank. But but throughout the period, they play West Ham away, Burnley away, Sheffield United away. Three away fixtures. Definitely, Arsenal are not as good away, but these are three fixtures. Three of the two of the three are like, again, the best away fixtures you can get this season. You saw how Newcastle and Aston Villa battered Sheffield United away from home, and Burnley definitely can also concede a few goals at home against a bigger side. And also West Ham are not the greatest defense, so you have to go without Saka for this period, and also maybe your other Arsenal defenders. Maybe you can just keep a Gabriel, but nothing else. The other thing is no further FA Cup information you'll be getting, because one major thing is that when your blank game week 26 is happening, as soon as that is over, there's a midweek where the FA Cup quarterfinal fixtures are happening, and with the winners of that or the losers of that, you will know for sure who are playing in game week 29. So far, we saw that Aston Villa, West Ham, Brentford, Burnley, Spurs, and Fulham play so far, but there might be a fixture or two being added to that. Is there an upset? So, for example, if Manchester United lose to Nottingham Forest, then Manchester United have a very plumb fixture against Sheffield United at home in 29. So, navigating all that will become a chaos if you are doing a wild card so early, and like all these unexpected things which generally happen in the FA Cup could still happen, and we should keep ourselves flexible for that, and that flexibility or Game Week 24 wildcard doesn't offer. And then the other thing is have to navigate post Game Week 30 fixture swings. So the major thing at Game Week 30 is now if we have our players, I think as I mentioned, Aston Villa, Spurs play for sure in Game Week 29. West Ham have a good chance of playing in Game Week 29. Your Luton assets, if Luton lose to Man City and Nottingham Forest lose to Man United, they will play, and you will be having Luton assets in Game Week 28 for the double game week. So all these teams play in Game Week 29. They play until Game Week 30, and then there's a very, very big fixture swing, especially for Luton, Spurs, and Aston Villa. These are three teams whose fixture go from north to south quickly. And then at the same point, if Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City blank in 29 and you don't have their players, you will want your Arsenal players and your Liverpool players and Man City players back. And for that reason, having a wild card in either 30 or 31, it becomes very important because one, the fixtures for Liverpool and Man City and also Arsenal are very good from 31 onwards. 30, Man City and Arsenal play each other, so you can navigate through that. But from 31 onwards, the fixtures are absolutely brilliant. And along with that, if Arsenal blank in 29 and Liverpool and City also blank, and they also maybe blank in 34, which is another week. I mean, I don't think they can blank as such, but they have a single fixture. They'll definitely have a double game week in either 34 or 37. That is the point over here. And if they do have a double game week in 2 weeks, I think it's gonna be like everyone will want to bring them in, and to bring back such expensive assets, you need to squad in a significant way, and it's not going to be easy doing that with hits, but bringing back your Salah and Saka and Haaland and all of them. So yeah, it becomes very difficult to navigate if you already use your wild card now. And then the final point is Luton might still not play in Game Week 29. So if you double up or triple up on Luton and expecting them to play in Game Week 29, that is not for sure. Man United, Nottingham Forest still have a decent odd to beat Man United in the game in the FA Cup fixture, which means Luton will not play in Game Week 29. So that's still a possibility. And then again, you might, if you have three assets in Luton expecting them to play in Game Week 29, you'll have to remove two of them away and maybe also take a hit or two, which will definitely happen now if you wildcard in Game Week 24 because of maximizing the fixtures Luton have in the next few game weeks. So that is another really important thing to consider. Having said all these pros and cons, this is a wildcard draft of Game Week 24, a very important game week because it's just right at the window. So I'm taking a little bit of time to explain this. I think there are three looters, as I said: Kaminsky, Doughty, and Barkley, and you can hide Kaminsky, bench him for Game Week 26. Same with Doughty and Barkley, and you have almost everyone else playing that other than the Liverpool lads. From Liverpool, I've gone with Van Dijk over here because there is not much room to fit in everyone else, and Trent is just back. And yeah, I mean there is upside with Trent definitely, but you with Van Dijk you have 3 games secured minutes. He's gonna start all of them, and the clean sheet odds, especially against Burnley, don't look that bad. And then I just have Gabriel over here because Arsenal are the best defense in the league, and having someone so cheap as Gabriel makes sense even then. And even if you want to bench boost in 29, he has a good fixture. Then I think who Doughty and Barkley are there. Doughty will be your defender. Diogo Jota, De Bruyne, Foden, Darwin, Haaland. These 5 are the double game makers from City and Liverpool who will be there in this team. And I also had added Ivan Toney. Ignore the captaincy is just there randomly for now, but Ivan Toney is also someone who's gonna double in game week 25. So, and in the bench I have Pinnock. You necessarily don't need to play him in the double game week, but I just have him because he's gonna play in 26 and he has a nice fixture in 29 as well. So having that defender in the bench who's gonna come fill in the blank game weeks for you is probably vital. And also have Kudus and Alex Moreno, who also have very good line of fixtures and play in game week 29, and so does Ariola. So all these players are there on the bench who play in game week 29, and then game week 20. Game week 25, you can roll your transfer, have these players for the double game week, and game week 26, you can then remove your Liverpool assets and not worry about anyone else. And at that point, you know that Spurs are definitely going to play in 29 as well and have good fixture on 30, 28 as well. So probably bringing in Spurs assets, bringing in Watkins and more Aston Villa assets is probably the way to go in this wildcard team. It's 0.1 million short, but you can upgrade, downgrade here and there to have an optimal wildcard for this week. I did discuss the pros and cons for this wildcard before going for it, and you can understand now by seeing it that there will be quite a few things that you might need to change in the future, because you have three Luton now. You'll be filling in with Spurs. You are filling in with Villa. It's not going to be easy to change all of them after game week 30 so easily and bring back your Haalands and Salahs and Fodens and Sakas. So that's with the game week 24. So I think if your team really needs surgery and you see a high upside, which is very valid with City and Liverpool players, you don't have any City and Liverpool player, then I'd probably do it. But otherwise, I'll hold my trigger, and there are better weeks to go. Game week 26 for me is the next one I'm going to discuss. And for me, I think it's little less ideal than even game week 24, because let's first discuss the cons. It's very similar to what Game Week 24 is. There's still not going to be any FA Cup information, because this is going to be before the Game Week 26 deadline, and the FA Cup game is after Game Week 26 deadline and before the Game Week 27 deadline. So it becomes very tricky navigating through these fixtures, and without FA Cup information, as I did mention in the previous wildcard draft as well, you are not going to be easily able to understand what teams. There can be shocks, there can be injury issues, and all these things ahead of the FA Cup, ahead of the blank game week 29. So it's not going to be easy. And also, again, having to navigate post 30, you'll again be loading up with Aston Villa, Spurs, and Luton assets over here. And yeah, that makes it hard to navigate post 30. I think that's one of the major points, even with wildcarding before anything we know from game week 29 FA Cup fixtures, that is the FA Cup quarterfinal fixtures. Before knowing anything from there and the draw for the semi-finals, you won't have much information and also know which players to exactly go for in 31. And it's not going to be easy, because as soon as game week 29, you'll be putting all your team. You'll be trying to fit in as many players in game week 29 as possible. If you're not using the free hit, which we will come for discussing free hit strategies later, but I don't think it's the best week to free hit, because in 34 and 37 free hit is a better option. So just bringing back your players is going to be so hard, as you're not going to have any transfer. You're going to dead end with this team. In 30, you probably want to bring back Salah, but then 31, I think Man City have Aston Villa and like Crystal Palace, etc., and Arsenal have Luton at home, and their run of fixtures started as well. And then your Aston Villas and Lutons have dreadful fixtures at that point. So just having to remove them, I'm repeating myself, it will be very stressing that it's very important. And also the other thing with the game week 26 is you'll have in game week 24, at least you have an idea that you can probably bench boost in game week 25. But when it's game week 26, you probably won't have any immediate idea for bench boost, and that sort of ties up with the navigation difficulty. If you wildcard in game week 24, you can keep your pull your bench boost and then forget about it, because bench boost is again almost as powerful as wildcard, has very high upside, and you use it off in where you have 11 12 double game weekers, then that's good enough. But then in the future, when it's 37, without a wild card at that point of time, around that horizon, and having to bench boost it's going to be uh, really difficult, almost impractical, and you might have to take a lot of hits. That's another no immediate idea. You won't have a definite game week. Game week 28 has only two double game week fixtures. You won't have a definite game week with a lot of double game week fixtures, a lot of popular assets who will be in your team, where you uh, want to put your bench boost again with not too much clarity of information. Let's just also push to the pros. One thing is you can dead end in game week 25, so you can just load in all your Liverpool assets, your Luton assets, your Man City assets, and then navigate the blanks without hits, which is game week 26 and game week 29, where a lot of other people will be taking even -4s, minus 8s, and trying to navigate and removing their Liverpool assets at that point. You can do it here without any hits and navigate it easily. You can set up your team for game week 29, and then think about the whatever comes next later. And then you can also add a few more Bournemouth options for game week 28, because they have uh, probably one of the best double game week fixtures you can get in Sheffield United home and Luton at home. So you can add more Bournemouth options as well, and also you can load up on Aston Villa and West Ham a little more. than you do with by removing your Liverpool players then itself, and have as many as West Ham, as many Aston Villa players as possible in your team. So that these are your pros for the wild card, but I still feel Game Week 26 actually has lesser appeal than Game Week 24 for me. And if I do wait till Game Week 26, I will probably take a hit or two, even field 10 or maybe even a Charlie Taylor as your 11th player, and then wait out till Game Week 27, which I will come to in a bit. But just let's discuss the draft. If suppose it's Game Week 26, here I think the change is Neto has come in for Areola because I think he has the better double game week fixture instead of Kaminsky, but Areola is going to be there to play in Game Week 29. And it's the same center back pairing. I just have added Pau Torres instead here because adding more Aston Villa assets, and I've had the triple up of City. I'm keeping them over here because I think they have great fixtures even after this, and you can remove them when and as and when you get close to Game Week 29. And you can also see if you want, you can bench either Foden or De Bruyne or Haaland for the Game Week 29 fixture, and then carry them on after that, which makes sense. So I think again, if you do look at dead ending at 29 and 30, you can maybe afford to lose Haaland and remove him in Game Week 28 when you have a Solanke, when you want to bring in a Solanke or even an Adebayo. But now I don't think it makes sense. And then, yeah, Watkins, you keep him. What you bring in Watkins, keep him in the team. Solanke, again, you keep him in the team because he doubled 28. And your bench, again, a couple of Luton players, and I have just kept Richarlison because his fixtures are great, and he plays in 29 after that, and 30 also is a great fixture. So this is how the Game Week 26 wildcard will be. Yeah, again, you're not having three Luton assets and three Bournemouth assets. Keeping in mind of Game Week 29, you can maybe also remove De Bruyne and have another West Ham player like Laura Ford and have a Bowen instead, which is that definitely possible, and then uh, have another. So like instead of Pau Torres, you can have a Senesi, but they have Man City at home, so that's a difficult fixture. So you can make a few changes in this, and there's plenty of money here. In the first wildcard draft, which I got, there's not much money in that. There's plenty of money to work around here, get your players at this time of the season. So that's a slightly a plus for this wildcard. Coming to Game Week 27 wildcard, which I think is a genuine consideration, will be for a lot of people. Why? There will be more clarity on Game Week 29 fixtures. So this is just after the FA Cup fixtures are done, and then your Game Week 29 fixtures are in. So you know which fixtures exactly play, and then there might be a cup upset also which you can react to, and then change your wildcard in such a way that you can maximize in Game Week 29. Suppose Man United are playing Sheffield United, you can maximize then, and then also set up to maybe 30 31 easily with your team, you based on who has. So for example, you can just cut down from three Spurs assets to two Spurs assets, or same with Aston Villa, and have more players who you might want to keep more in after Game Week 30. So you'll have some clarity about that, and then you'll also have some clarity because the quarterfinal draw will the quarterfinal draw will be done, which is in Game Week 29. No, I think your semi-final draw will be done, which is in Game Week 34. So there'll be a clarity on who's going to blank in Game Week 34 and further. So and look at the doublers at that point as well. So there will be more clarity. I think there's a typing mistake from my side. And then looking at the other pros is there's easier to set up teams for blank game, double game week 28 and blank game week 29, as I mentioned, and also for the longer run. I think there are plenty of pros the game week 27. You can react to something if there is some very significant information, like last season Spurs lost their FA Cup game, and then suddenly they were all playing, and then a lot of people came to game week 27 and pulled the trigger in their wild card because it became easier navigating all those doubles and blanks in the future as well. So it becomes easier, and you can also just immediately have a good game week 28 double game week team, and then also look at the blank game week. Cons: if there's no cup upset, you still can't load up on Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal players, which is going to be very important post 30, as I mentioned before. And again, in that sense, it's also difficult to navigate fixture swings. You'll have to load up again on Aston Villa and Spurs assets. So, as I'm mentioning this again and again, it becomes more important to dead end your team as soon as game week 29 or game week 30 is done. and at that point you'll have a new wildcard, a fresh team to navigate the final 8 fixtures and double game week, blank game weeks of the season. And again, I don't think you'll have a clear idea on the bench boost. Like I said in 26, this is just 1 week later, and there's no big double game week in the horizon. So you might not have any immediate idea of bench boost, and you might have to figure it out to have a good bench boost team. And ideally in previous seasons, historic seasons, it's always like understood if one, you have clarity about the fixtures before doing a bench boost, and two, you just do your wild card a week or 2 or 3 or even 3 before you bench boost. So suppose you're bench boosting in 34, putting a wild card in 31 or 32 makes a lot of sense because you know exactly what players to get, or even 30, 35, 36 for 37, or maybe even before, if you think the options are the same, and if you want to do a free hit in 34 and you know exactly which fixtures are falling in 37, then again doing a wildcard in 31, 32 makes sense, because you will have the same group of players who you'll want to bench in 37, and which is going to be the popular players who are Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal this year. So there's not going to be much idea if you can't load up on these players in your game week 23, 27 wildcard. There is a lot of potential for game week 27 wildcard, but I still think you'll need a lot of things to go your way, a lot of upsets to happen to be able to play this wildcard. And that's how it looks for me. I think this is a wildcard which you can't predict at the moment, because there is like so many different wildcard options over here. So this is a wildcard you can't predict at the moment. You might have an Arsenal player, you might have a United player, you might have a Liverpool player. So it's just out there. But I've added 3 Bournemouth players, 2 Luton players, definitely there, and also a few players from Aston Villa and Spurs for now, who will be playing definitely in 29. But if your United are playing in 29, or Liverpool or Arsenal or City, you can definitely load up on them, because they are going to be more useful for you post 30 as well once you lose your wild card. So the final strategy, again, not clear idea on what exactly the team will be, is game week 31, where it's going to be the best, where you can capture the fixture swing and set up for double game week 24, 34, and 37. You'll know exactly when to bench boost, you'll know exactly when to free hit, and all of that. So there's going to be a lot of information around the fixture swings. So if there's no cup upset, you can just push to game week 31. Until 30, you'll have all Villa, Spurs, and Luton assets, and remove them in 31 because they have a fixture swing, not great fixtures, and bring in your Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal players, and keep them, and maybe even Brighton at one point. Some of them might become options. Wolves, for example, they might also double. So all these good teams, some of them with enablers, some of them with great big chunk of players, can be captured in this wild card. And then again, FA Cup semis draw is there for you in game week 30. Oh, in game week 30 is when game week 27 is before the quarterfinal draw. Game week 30 is after the quarterfinal. So you know the semi-final draw clearly. So in 34, you'll know who lost, who won in game week 29 in the FA Cup fixtures. So you have all of that information, and a big clarity on 34 and 37. Know exactly when you want to free hit. You know exactly when you want to bench boost. So that at this moment still feels for me as probably the best place time to wildcard 31, 32. There might be things that will change for a previous wildcard, which we always have to be open for. But this seems like the best week for a wildcard. And then there's the highest upside for using free hit and bench boost as a horizon, as I mentioned. In 34, you can use the bench boost, 37 free hit, or 37 you can use the bench boost, and 34 free hit. So it can, like, a lot of things can be said about the high upside over here. You have really a high number of double game weeks in each of these weeks. There'll be 4 to 5 in one week, 7, maybe even 6 to 7 in the other week. So that's a great 6 to 7 fixtures. I mean, and that means you'll have almost 12 to 14 teams doubling. So there is going to be a lot of double game week fixtures. But the cons over here is what we are in a dilemma at this moment, is to navigate through double game week 25, blank game week 26, and blank game week 29 with the help of some hits, which is what a lot of us are trying to do, which is what we also discussed. I discussed in yesterday's video with Anshuman, and discussed a lot on how to navigate this without using any wildcard or any chip strategies, and also compromise on a few players in game week 25, 26, 28, 29. Like for example, you remove a Palmer who you have a value attached, or like Watkins for a bit and then bring him back. You remove Saka who you don't need. You don't have Salah or Trent in any of 27 or 28. 28 they play Man City, 27 they not play Nottingham, but you just sacrifice them for that particular week. So there are a lot of cons for this as well, but the pros actually give you a lot of high upside. But again, using hits now versus using hits later is up to team dependent, and either is good. It's not like there is a one particular way to do that, but the information you get, the clarity you get on a lot of fixtures, and then the fixture swing which is there post game week 30 is slightly leaning towards at this moment saying that game week 31 might be the best time, or maybe even 32 33 might be the best time to play a wild card. But yeah, still a long way to go, so a lot of things could change. But yeah, I think Game Week 31 and Game Week 27 definitely appeal as better times to wildcard than Game Week 24, or for like definitely Game Week 26. So out of the four things I've discussed, I think I'll rank Game Week 31 first, then 27, then 24, then 26. And yeah, this is the wildcard draft of 31, and you can, as I said, you can do it in 32 as well. And it has exactly as much money over here. I have just put Robertson in the team. He can be downgraded for another player. You can have double up in Arsenal defense over here. Maybe put Pickford on goal. There is a possibility for that. But there's a double up of Arsenal defense here, Rhea and Gabriel, because going ahead, Arsenal, if they double, are going to be great. Robertson is there, Guardiola, two enablers in the midfield who are Huang and Palmer, along with three big hitters who are Saka, Foden, and Salah. You can try and fit in Son for a couple of weeks and then do him to Foden as well. And then Haaland and Darwin are my two strikers. And instead of Darwin, you can maybe have a Solanke over there as well. And your keeper again, Ariola stays. You could change him to someone else. It doesn't really matter because your Arsenal keeper is going to be kept over there for a long time, and he's going to probably be starting all the games. And Adebayo is also just there for the sake of maybe wanting someone to come on from the bench. Instead, you can just have an Archer and use that money elsewhere. And then my other two bench here are some two players who Branthwaite and Estupinian. One is an enabler, and both are someone who are expected to play their double game weeks around game week 20, game week 34 or game week 37. So that brings us to the end of the video, and I think I hope you have a little more clear strategy and looking at your team, and definitely viable to pull the wildcard trigger, but then there are factors you'll have to keep in notice and you'll have to plan towards, and you'll have to think a lot on the consequences of having certain players around 30 30 31. And we'll also discuss that a little more in detail once we get closer to those fixtures, once we get the result for the FA Cup pre-quarterfinal, quarterfinal, and also get the FA Cup semi-final draw. We'll be there, right there, in the thick of it, trying to discuss more FPL, more and more FPL, because I think a great part of the season is the double game week, blank game weeks. Just navigating through it is going to be a lot of fun and a lot of variances, a lot of different players, and templates will be broken at this point of the season, and there is a lot of rank to be caught up. And yeah, I think this is the fun part of the season. Even if you go down one week, you can just catch up the next week. And yeah, I think good luck to all of you, and please hit the like button if you like the video, and please do subscribe. And we will try to come up with more frequent videos like this in the coming weeks, because it's going to be important navigating through these fixtures. Until then, cheers. This is the FPL Tips YouTube channel signing off. I'm Akhilesh here. Bye bye.